Hi, everyone. Kathy Beltran with Sacred Dance with Trance. I am super excited to bring a new guest with us here today, talking about a little bit something different than I normally do. I have fellow member and author James McQuitty from the UK here to talk about spirituality. But before that, I want to tell you that James right now has about 15 books that are active on Amazon. You can also find some of these books in used bookstores as well, but I do have three that I wanted to show you that I have of James. So the first one is Know Yourself by James McQuitty, wonderful book. The second one, The Reasons Why You Were Born. And the last one is Golden Enlightenment. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm just super excited to have James here with us today. And everybody welcome James McQuitty. Okay. Okay. James, so let's get back to this part of the book. First, I want to say this is the one I have, but I know that there's an anniversary on this book right now. What is the anniversary? How many years?
Well, the original version came out of that particular one 20 years ago. So this is the quite simply named 20-year anniversary.
20 years.
But the actual original one was 24 years ago, 1994.
1994.
A shorter version of 35 questions and answers. The second book, which this one's an anniversary of, was 50 questions and answers, but this edition has 10 more questions and answers, so that's 60 questions.
60 questions. I actually love that because it's like questions and answers in this book, so you could kind of look at everything, and it covers a broad subject. There's so many different questions in here. Plus their cover. I know you've updated your cover, so it's not going to completely look like this, but there's a new cover.
Not exactly. It's the same picture, but just slightly different.
Slightly different.
Across the bottom, so slightly different colours. But at the moment, it's still showing as that one for the Kindle one because I haven't got a copy of the updated one to put it onto the Kindle one.
Put it on. Well, and then again, you guys, you can find all his books. I'm only showing you 3, but he has like 15 books on Amazon. Definitely check that out.
Yeah,
he also has.
I can show you more if you want.
Oh, sure. Show some more.
Well, this is just some of them. That's Adventures in Time and Space.
Ooh.
Quite a
nice cover.
Yeah, I like the covers. Although about the content, you might not enjoy that, but you enjoy the covers. Immortality.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, that was one of the stock pictures on CreateSpace. They were very helpful. This one is Be Yourself.
Be Yourself.
It's
nice.
Black and white cover.
Oh yeah.
Apart from the added on colour bit, the actual is black and white. Because
that's a nice one.
That's my sister when she was about 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, nice.
A long while ago. Covered by monkeys, if you.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
This is one about the evolvement of the soul. So.
Involvement of the soul.
Light it up and see what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. I can see it. The evolvement of the soul.
And one for the controversy. Christianity, the sad and shameful truth.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, you.
Wouldn't be so popular with some people, but originally I did a book that came out in America, funny enough, called Religion, Man's Insult to God.
Wow.
In the 90s. They liked the title, but they didn't sell many. the actual independent publisher. They told me they were good at it, but I don't think they were any better at marketing than I was.
Oh my goodness, wow. There is a lot of controversy. I do see lots of posts in my news feed on Facebook about religion and man and all of that. So there's still lots of that going on. So James, after you've written all of these books, how did this start out for you? How did you all of a sudden one day wake up and you're on a spiritual journey to understand everything? How did it start for you?
Well, I was always interested, you know, even as a child. I remember laying in bed talking to my brother who shared the same room as me, saying, you know, is there anything else that's going to follow on, as it were? Because otherwise, in my opinion, even then, I thought, well, it's all a bit pointless otherwise, isn't it? You know, if we just die and that's the end of it. So I wanted to know the truth then, and then the time I was about 16 or so, there was a medium demonstrating. I just about heard of mediums by then, nearby. So I went to see her, and it was a world, well, turned out a world famous one, certainly famous in the UK. She demonstrated that the Royal Albert Hall and places like that, a real top one called Jessie Nason. So I went to see her, and even at that young age, I was really convinced by one public meeting with her, because she gave the messages to, I think it must have been about 16 people, and they're all so accurate, you know, including, you know, things you couldn't make up. But also, they charged so little to get in. I forget what it was at the time, something like equivalent of 50p less than $1 even now, or something silly like
Wow.
that. And so I thought, well, and she had some a friend of hers playing a piano for some reason, a bit of entertainment thrown in, meant to be uplifted, I suppose. But you know, the rent of the hall, and I thought, oh, she's not making any money out of it, so why is she doing it? You know, so it was obvious she was doing it because she knew it was true, which obviously it was, and the messages were really good, you know, including. I remember one even now about a woman, well, not about a woman, but to a woman, about her husband who had been killed in a car accident. I think he was run over or something, you know, and she gave her all that information about him, and the fact that he was still there, paying attention and watching the wife's life. But it was so conclusive, I was convinced even at that age. And then my next awakening, should I carry on?
Yeah.
My next awakening was probably in 1980 in Saudi Arabia. I saw an Egyptian using a prayer mat, and he was getting a lot of upliftment out of it. And so I had to go myself. I found an old prayer mat, as it happened, synchronicity. So I cleaned it up a bit and had a go. And because, you know, when you're working abroad, in an all-male environment and a bit 6 days a week, and it's all a bit depressing in many ways. You know, not that I let it get to me in any way, but you know, it's nice to have a bit of upliftment. So I tried this prayer, and it was like, vroom, the energy came in. It was obviously my first go at prayer, proper prayer, you know, rather than the ritualized rubbish that I was forced to go along to occasionally as a schoolboy. But you know, so after that, it really took off. As soon as I got back to the UK in '81, I found there was a Jessie Nason again demonstrating just down the road from where I was. I started going to her meetings and learning more and more and more, and really, it wasn't so much the messages, even though I got some of those as well occasionally. It was the philosophy, because she'd do a lovely talk, you know, 10 or 15 minutes beforehand, giving all the information, you know, the sort of things that ended up in the book, you know, sort of what happens when you die and all the rest of it, and the spiritual laws, obviously, which is important. The law, you know, karma, everybody's heard of it these days. Some people might be confused about what it means. But basically, it's similar to the law of cause and effect. Whatever we give out, we end up getting back, or as a result, we end up on a lower vibration in the spirit world if we don't live in a nice way, you know. Try to pick the right words there. I don't want to make it sound like preaching or anything. It's just basically being a decent person, you know, being friendly and kind and compassionate as much as you can. None of us are perfect, so we don't get it all right all the time. Even I lose my temper sometimes.
I think that you starting out, I mean, you were 16. That was when you were 16, when you went to your first medium?
Yeah, first one to see Jessie Nason, yeah.
Wow. And then 18, you went to Saudi Arabia?
No, I was by then I was 30. Lots of things had happened in the meantime. I'd always had the interest, but I never knew, you know, how to pursue it more. I used to occasionally look in places like libraries and hardly ever find anything on spiritual communication. You never find a book like that in those days. I don't know why. if they existed, I think they hid them away somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. But I love your books. Your books cover so many different areas, and especially for somebody coming out or starting their spiritual journey, or their, if they picked up one of your books, I mean, there's so many questions, so many things, so many different areas. One of the things that I wonder is, so when you were like 18, as you got to be 18, when did you know that you were going to start writing? Or did this come much later in your life?
Well, that's another sort of interesting story. It's, I used to have this friend, John Burton. I don't know if he's still around. Many years that would have been in the late 70s still. It might have been just about 1980, just before I went to Saudi Arabia. But I said to him once, I want to write a book. And he said, what about? I said, I don't know. I just had that urge even then. But then it was years later before I was sitting with a lady in trance, a lady I knew. I didn't know greatly, but I knew her. So she invited me along to sit in this group, and when she was in trance, and we were able to ask the guide what our purpose in life was, or whatever we wanted, really, we could ask. But I asked, what was I meant to be doing? And he told me writing. So
Wow.
when I started thinking more about it, but really, I thought it was a bit of a joke in one way, because my worst subject at school was English. I was very good at maths, but anyway, I suppose, I think in hindsight, the reason they wanted me to be a writer was because I could word things simply, being a bit simple myself, in the nicest sense, I hope. But I could word things for the average person, rather than there's some books you can pick up and they're a bit, well, sort of highbrow. They may not literally be that, but they come across that way. And I like to keep things as simple as I can.
Yeah.
Cut out too much waffle, as I call it. Some people what is that the right word? Make books a lot larger, loads more, explanations than they need to, just to fill up lots of pages and make it look good. There's some publishers who won't even take a manuscript that's too short, which is just mental, isn't it, in my opinion? Why won't they print one? If it's shorter, if it says what it needs to say.
Well, I like your books. I mean, I love the topics that you cover. When I first started my spiritual path, if I had found this book, I wouldn't have had to buy 20 different books. I could have just got this one right here, and it has so much information in it. So I definitely like to share that, because you cover so much. So like with this spirituality, what is spirituality? Can you explain that?
Probably not.
No, we're going to make this fun. This is going to be fun.
But no, I'll just say, really, it's in my opinion, it's going back to the decent things, living compassionately and kind, and being nice to each other, and that sort of thing, basically. And that is you acting in accord with your spirit essence, your soul. So you're behaving in a way that's in keeping with it, because in the spirit life, we start out, I'm sure, or most of us on this pathway now anyway, we're a bit further up the ladder, perhaps, with a bit of luck, than somebody who's running around murdering people, for a start. So if we're expressing the goodness of our soul, and that is really spirituality, in my opinion. But that's one way of looking at it, anyway.
No, I love that. I do love that, how it's very simple. It can be very simple. Sometimes I think that like with your second book, Know Yourself. Why is it important to know yourself? I mean, what I feel about it is, to me, spirituality is a personal journey. I think it's about understanding who you are, what you think about, what your beliefs are. I mean, and to evolve. And again, it's to be kind, be loving to others, as well as yourself. Really, it's to yourself in that journey.
Know yourself is basically that. And to know yourself, to know that you are a spirit being. It was just another different approach to the same subject in a way. I like to try and, it may seem a bit repetitive at times, but approach things from different angles and perhaps take in different aspects that I haven't covered elsewhere, hopefully.
I think that's the hard part, is people will say sometimes, I mean, I had some members ask me some questions, and I was sitting there thinking about it. How do you find your spiritual self? How do you get to that place of, being loving and kind when you're experiencing, all these things that are happening around you, like, you're having money problems, or, your love life is a mess. How can you get to know the real you as to why you're creating this in your life? Why is this happening in your life? Those are thoughts that, they're asking me. And you know what? I'm sorry, but my big Newfie is barking like crazy in the background. He's outside the door, so hopefully he doesn't go crazy. Those are the questions that people ask. How am I going to be? How can I be loving when I'm angry at my husband, or, my job, that somebody at my work? What can somebody do to bring more calm in their life, especially if they haven't yet went down that spiritual path? Because you can be a medium and still be quite unspiritual. I've seen that. I can't believe it, but yes, I've seen that. Do you have any ideas? I mean, what can somebody do to get onto a spiritual path, or embrace it more?
Yeah, in the cases you're mentioning, where, as I say, even I lose my temper sometimes. If I suddenly turn around and start screaming, it's probably the cat that came in and started to she wants to steal my chair and want me to get up so she can jump on. So, but I won't get too angry. But in the case where you do, I think you can only keep trying to keep it in the back of your mind that you're the things we know, that we're a spirit, we're a soul, we're an immortal being, and keep constantly trying to remind yourself and bring yourself back to that. So even if you do lose it for a moment or a few moments, to quickly try and retune, calm down, think of it in the bigger picture, which that is. That's why I did one of these books, Immortality, recently. That's one to try and make you come back again and constantly. I was going to call it a constant reminder. That's what we need to take us away from all this media depressive stuff, and constantly remember who and what we are, immortal souls on earth having an experience, because we're quite mental, really.
Yeah, and I do like that. I do like that. It's very simple to remind ourselves, no matter what's happening in our life, that we are a soul having a human experience right now, and to look at things at a bigger level.
Yeah, and I can, and also to remember that we chose or accepted the choice to come here. We could have said that. We might not have learned what we're going to learn as a result, but we could have said no. So we chose it or accepted it at very least. So we have nobody to blame but ourselves, even if you're right. At a higher level, we can't remember it.
I look at it like, I think before I got into the mediumship part, I think I spent a lot of time looking at meditation, different forms, different things that could help me go within. Really, really, it was only to find myself, to understand myself in relation to others.
Mm.
And so, people can try meditation. Obviously, mediums, okay, meditation, maybe not sitting in the power, going in like that way, reading tons of books that might help you on your journey. God, there's so many things, that could help somebody with that. I also think, and I'm not sure on your thoughts on this, like every single person and situation, whether it's good or bad, is there to help us. Really, to help us remember. I mean, no matter the situation, if it's a good situation, obviously we're going to be happy. But if it's a bad situation or an uncomfortable experience that you're having with somebody or through an event, to me, I think it's there to help us. Like they're teachers. I kind of feel like anybody can be a teacher or a mirror for us. To instead of focusing outwards, to focus within us. And understand why, like if we're having this bad experience, why are we so upset about it? Instead of looking at somebody else, constantly blaming somebody else, or even saying, oh my God, I chose to be here and have all of these experiences. Instead of focusing outward all the time, focusing inward. And that's how you're going to know yourself. That's how, if you pay attention to your thoughts. Do you think thoughts, are a good thing? Well, not a good thing. I mean, everybody's thinking thoughts, but is there bad thoughts? Can thoughts change, or are they creative? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think you already know the answer. Yeah, but folks
I do. I do. But I don't know if a lot of the members do.
Yeah, thoughts are definitely creative. So it's how, and I used to have something that had the subtitle, if I remember it right now, it's how we think we are, basically. So it's certainly in the long run, we get the karma one, the cause and effect, the rebound of thoughts, as well as actions, how we think. They used to say, that think, act and do. Oh, is that the same thing? Say, think, and act. The three things all bring consequences, and thoughts can be just as, if not more powerful than action. We can do something that may not be so positive in its action, but we can do it gently. It won't matter so much. But if we have a real strong emotional negative thought, there's lots of books on self-healing, like Anita Morjani's one about dying to be me. It was basically, she had a near-death one where she was dying of cancer and she came back to full health because she realised in her near-death one, it was how she was thinking that was causing her cancer. And when she opened herself to the healing that was available from spirit and started thinking entirely differently, the illness went away, or the disease went away. It's just as you probably know, disease. So how we think can be very important, and then also it can how we think, act, and what we say and so forth can affect how we the realm we end up in the spirit world when we pass on. So we don't necessarily immediately retune with our higher self. We carry on as a personality aspect or facet of ourselves, and we can end up putting ourselves in a very lowly position if we're really bad. I mean, most of us obviously are not. So anybody watching this, I'm sure, will be a reasonably decent, if not an extremely decent person, a nice person. But there are people, like the murderers and the drug pushers and all the rest, most of them politicians probably, who will probably find themselves on the lower levels. But they won't stay there forever, that's the good news.
Well, I do like it. I mean, I remember that book. I've read her book. To me, with the thoughts, she had to go back in within herself to see a belief that she created when she was younger. And she was operating from that false belief. I'm going to say false belief, as an older person. And it was an outdated belief. It was a wrong belief about herself. And so when she realized that she had these beliefs that were false, and it actually connected to her cancer. And then once she realized that and had those epiphanies, that healing came in. So that's why I think with people, you know, I get attracted to so many people. I mean, I sometimes I feel like I'm an unpaid therapist. I feel like I've been that my whole life. But what I've noticed is patterns. Patterns are important. When I see people, you know, even my own life, I don't know about you, as you were, you know, I'm going to say, as you were evolving in your spiritual journey, how important are patterns? Because if I was constantly being a negative Nancy about things, breaking that pattern, or being pessimistic about every opportunity that's coming to you, or an expectation, to me, you have that thought in your head and you're constantly going to experience the same outcome because you're so negative. It's just you're attracting negativity. So it would be good to like kind of monitor your thoughts every once in a while to see what you are attracting in your life. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah. That's why I've got, you know, one of the ones in the Golden Enlightenment one there is about positive thinking.
Positive thinking.
You can't all think positively all the time, but as I said, but you know, retune as quick as you can. That's why constant reminder, keep remembering who you are, what you are.
Yes.
Keep coming back to that. And then the more you do that, the more it will become natural. So you start doing it all the time. You know, I mean, there's loads of negative things go on all the time that we all, well, most of us hear about. But I don't hear a lot all the time myself because I never watch TV news or pay any attention to all that. Because it's just the same thing going round and round in circles, all the bad stuff. I'm sure it's not necessarily deliberately, but half the time you begin to wonder because it's like trying to depress the masses and want to drive them all to the health service in the UK and make them all take tablets. And half the time the tablets are far worse than just switching off the TV news. so ignore it all.
Ignore it all. So
get on with all the good bits.
And then, so it's almost like saying an affirmation, or people do use affirmations. And then eventually after saying it for so long, or even with the fact that saying that we are a soul having a human experience and that we have to look at the bigger picture, you know, it does become more natural. Yeah. And eventually it's sometimes I almost say with affirmations, it's like you have to fake it till you make it. But really with affirmations, you know, you can think it, but if you're not generating the emotional energy with it, then nothing's going to happen. You're just going to be saying the words without any creative energy, you know, coming of it.
Yeah, but it can be quite amusing when you start reaching the stage where you naturally don't really mind if somebody dies or something. You know, you bump into somebody in the street and say, oh, such and such has gone, and you think, oh, lucky devil.
Oh wow.
They've gone somewhere nice. You know, it's usually somebody older. You know, I wouldn't say it to somebody who just had a son run over or something in a traffic accident or something.
Oh my goodness.
You know, you have to be a bit more compassionate and word things to try and
yes.
a bit, you know, say that, you know, they'd have gone somewhere nice basically, and you can communicate with them and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it does start becoming natural the more and more you realize, and the more and more you put it into practice. As much as you can, you know. I mean, what you do, the meditation and so forth, is obviously great. You know, that retunes you quickly. And lots of people have got their own ways of doing it. So
yeah,
do whatever works.
Do whatever works. Do whatever works. I think that's beautiful. Have you? I know that your experience in Saudi Arabia. did you formally go down like into meditations? Was meditation a big part of your life? Did you meditate?
No, I wasn't. I've never been a great meditator.
No.
No, but, of course, I did practice spiritual healing for a while, quite a few years, and I was still doing the absent healing, as we call it, or distant healing. But you know, with that, it's a form of meditation.
Oh yeah.
And you know, because when you're channeling the healing, you're sort of relaxed. And it's sort of, well, you can feel it. One of the early times I tried it, it was at a development circle in Lewisham in London many years ago. It was one of the first patients I worked on. I had my hands on him, and it was like I was out of the body, about 20 foot high, and it was great. After because I was there for so long, and it felt so good, I had to sort of bring myself back down and say, "Do you mind if I carry on?" Then I was concerned that the person I was working on was going to be thinking, "What's going on?" But
Wow.
that was another chap, and he was quite happy to carry on, so I did a bit more. But that was a really, really good one. So it is like a form of meditation, and of course.
Oh no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I think that there's so many people that I love asking people that question, and their answers are completely varied because to me, any modality, anything, you know, the healing, if you go down the healing way, meditation, whatever, it doesn't matter. It brings you to yourself, and you know, and to me, it's all about healing anyway, healing and love. That's pretty much it.
And the writing as well, when I'm, especially in the early days when I was working on something, I'd sit there and relax and ask spirit friends, you know, guides or whatever, to come and help with the writing, correct the spelling if they can.
that would be me too. I'd be like, oh man, you know.
But you know, so I get that, and then you get the other, if you get it sort of feeling around the crown of the head, you know, and you get the warmth sometimes, as like with the healing. It's you can feel the energy around, and you start trying to relax and write or whatever, and build it up from there. I mean, they rarely give me the whole answer to anything, or the whole dialogue that they want to put in. It's usually just an idea that I have to do the work myself.
No, I love that. I love that you asked for help from your team, from your guides, especially with writing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It's their fault. They got me into it, or did they?
You signed up for this, James. It was already pre-planned, you know?
I'm in denial that I volunteered.
Oh yeah. No, but I love that. I love that people can remember, you know, we're used to, again, we're talking about mediumship. So we're used to asking, you know, or doing these readings or you know, for other people and bringing forward this information, but you forget you can ask your team. And if you listen and have that true intent of what it is that you're asking for, I think they will, I mean, they always are there to help you. And so with you asking, you know, here we have 15 books, you know, I think you could have done it. I mean, when I read these books, I love it. I love all the information that you have in there. And it is really to help somebody to have a better understanding. Because everybody, I remember even with myself as a kid having those questions. Why are we here? What's this about? You know? And so you took it further and got answers.
Yeah, when I was doing the first draft of the original Golden Enlightenment, I'd sit in my lounge, which was painted a sort of goldy colour, which gave me the title, or part of it. I used to sit there trying to think, now, how can I answer this very simply to somebody who's new to, well, spiritualism, because I started out through spiritualism, even though I think I've gone beyond in a way without wishing to sound egotistical, because I'd be more, if I was aligned to one organisation, it'd be more, if you can call it an organisation, one philosophy, it would be spiritism rather than spiritualism. There is a bit of a difference. So But anyway, when I was first doing it, I was just sitting there trying to make it as simple as possible and asking for the help. And I think me being simple as well, simple English, it's helped and put it out in a nice way that most people can understand. Well, everybody can understand.
Out of all of your books, James, which one is your favorite?
Oh dear. I suppose it could either be this new version of Golden Enlightenment, because it with the 10 extra questions and answers, I've now added in a lot of quotes from other books as well, or paraphrased bits from other books. So I think that expands it more and makes it a more complete book rather than taking it so far, because the original ones were for beginners, and this one, it's okay for beginners, but it goes further, you know. It goes deeper questions.
It does go deeper.
Yeah. So that's in one way, but the reason why you're born, I think, as well, even though I might have another look at that one and see if I can improve on that somewhere as well. That's the great
Don't you have a book, and I'm trying to remember this, something about astrology?
Oh yeah, I got the spiritual astronumerology. Yeah, that was.
Oh my God!
I started working on quite a few years ago and built up different bits came together to make it. Yeah.
I think it's a great book. I mean, I want to get that book next, because once I saw that, you know, I do love a little bit about astrology. I'm not absolutely no professional at it, but I love. Have you ever got a natal chart done? Do you know what that is? Where
I haven't, because some of these things you need to know your time of birth as well.
Oh yes.
And I don't know that. My mother, when she was around, she couldn't remember exactly. I thought, well,
yeah.
Obviously wasn't looking at a clock.
You know what? I mean, I actually, if you don't have your birth time, that's the hard part, you know. I've had friends that couldn't do theirs as well, but I think I actually got mine done, and it's like birth natal chart, and it's free. You can get a free one, or you can get a paid one. The paid one, of course, is going to be more detailed, but just the free one alone, and what it comes with it, it's so interesting because I could relate to so much. And it was like, what it is that it explains a little bit about who you are, your challenges, and your potentials, and your strengths, and really what you might be here to do. And so I found I wasn't sure if that was going to be a part in your book or not, but with every grandchild, it is.
Yeah, it sounds okay. Similar idea, you know, but this one was more, you know, it's a little bit of astrology, but it's more from the point of numerology, because
numerology.
Like I said, I was better at maths when I was young.
Oh yeah. So, I couldn't do astrology. That would be very hard to do. But I encourage everybody, if you haven't had your chart done, free, just look for a free one. Do it just to see. Focus really, I mean, obviously with your strengths are going to be there. It's automatic, but look at your challenging areas and, you know, maybe learn a little bit about that, because I mean, it's completely helped me. And I've actually done all of my children, actually every family member in my extended families, and any grandchild or child that's born that I know, the first thing I get them is a natal chart, and I get it for their parents, because it will actually help you understand the child that is going to be, and to better help them, really, you know, their strengths but the struggles, the challenging areas, and this way you are able to help them better. But anyways, I'm totally about that, so get it, free birth natal chart. But I love this. You cover so many different areas, and this is what I love about your books. It's not just one subject. It's not about just reincarnation. It's so many different areas. And then the book, The Golden Enlightenment, that one definitely has 60 questions and answers. So check that out. But James, what would you tell somebody if they were just starting to get on a spiritual path? What could you advise them to do?
Well, probably to do a lot of research and investigation, and if they can, to go and see, well, it depends which country they're in. If they're in a country like the UK, they've got plenty of mediums they can see, either private ones or in the spiritualist churches and centres, or independent organisations that put on demonstrations as well. And most of them in the UK are very good. You know, they don't charge much. The services they do on a Sunday, which I tend to avoid, because I'm not much of one for worshipping and singing. You know, I believe in the power, we can call it God, or the Great Spirit, but I don't think we need to go around singing praises. But the good thing is, if you go to something like that in the UK, they, even though they don't generally advertise it for some weird reason, they usually, nearly always, incorporate a demonstration of mediumship. So you might get half an hour or 40 minutes of a medium giving messages. So you can get lots of messages. You can just put a small donation, whatever you like, free will offering in their collection. So it doesn't cost much to start learning things. They give a little talk, they tell you something spiritual, you know, on the spiritual philosophy probably, and then you might get a message as well. So I'd say start with doing that, but also keep an open mind and take it from there, and also have a go yourself. Like I try and recommend in lots of my things, have a go at healing for a start. I mean, it costs nothing. You know, I mean, that is the simplest therapy around. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to, if you don't want to become a member of anything. You can just try it on your pets, even if you've got one, or you know, companion animals, or strange animals, any animal in the street. I remember years ago, I tried it with a neighbour's cat. I was in my back garden and I could see this cat a few fences over, because the fences were low, and he was sitting there. And for several years, he never once came to my house or to see me, and didn't want a stroke or anything. But I could see it was looking a bit forlorn, so we say, a bit getting older. So I tried channeling energy through and out through my solar plexus to him, just visualizing a white light, and I did that constantly for about 5 minutes. Give yourself a headache if you're not careful. But I tried it, and the cat suddenly looked at me. It really, like, oh yeah, I'm receiving this. This is good. And then came over, first time for several years, and then was friendly and used to come round to me.
Wow.
So it works, you know, try it. Anybody can try it. As I say, try it on your parents if you're young, try it on your children if you're parents, you know, anybody. Try it on friends and let them try it on you. All have a go. I once did some in my, I used to have a flat and an apartment, as you call it. And we've got a group of 10 people round who've never done it before, and all had a go, and they all experienced things, you know, all felt things, either receiving or, you know, being the transmitter or channel. So, you know, have a go at that, and you never know what will happen.
Yeah, I love healing. That's how I did. I started out with is just trying to, you know, like you said, bring that light through and channel that. To anybody I could, you know, within my family, if they weren't feeling well or they got hurt, or, you know, so yeah, I love that. I love healing. I love all areas of healing, you know.
And if you don't want anybody to even know, you can just do it with, as we call it, absent or distant healing. Just say a little prayer, ask for the healing to go to whoever, you know, or whichever animal or person. So you'd be surprised.
It is, yeah. I love that. I love that story about the cat.
The greatest, one of the greatest healers of all time, certainly in the UK, was Harry Edwards. And he started without really knowing anything. It just, people started getting better when he gave them things when he didn't even know he was given them anything worth having. He sort of, it's a long story, but to cut it short, he had a go and found that it worked. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. I like what you said, though, in the beginning about just being loving, being kind and compassionate to others, and always reminding yourself who you really are here in what's happening with you. And, you know,
say hello to strangers. Smile,
smile, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've bumped into a few people in not too distant past who look very grumpy, but if you say something nice, even if it's just good morning or good afternoon or whatever, I mean, sometimes it brightens them up, they think, oh, somebody's being nice, and they respond.
That reminds me of a story with my own kids, my teenagers, when they were younger. And they would wake up in the morning and they'd come out and they're grumpy. You could feel them. They wouldn't have to say anything. It's their body language. And then they would start getting upset at each other. And then I remember saying to the one that was very grumpy, did you wake up on the other side of the bed? She goes, yeah. I was like, well, go back to bed and get out on the other side, because you need to come in and be responsible with your energy, because everybody can feel your negative energy. Why? Just you're up, have a great day, be happy. What are you grumpy for? So being more of that, I think, is wonderful, and being kind to strangers. So I want to share your books again. You guys remember UK, right? They're on the UK, but you can also find it on the US site, Amazon. So the ones I have, remember, he has 15 books. So we have The Reasons Why You're Born. I love that cover. Okay. Know Yourself. We talked a lot about that, knowing yourself. And the big anniversary one, Golden Enlightenment. I love this cover. Girl, I just love all your covers of your books. So, and James earlier on had showed you all the other books. So definitely check James McQuitty out. Any books you can find on Amazon, UK or US. But James, oh my God, thank you. I know this is actually our second time trying to do this interview because I had technical difficulties. But James, thank you so much for being on here and sharing your knowledge, your understanding, and your wisdom, and sharing the books, and helping us understand more about spirituality.
Yeah, well, it's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me on, Kathy. It's really nice of you.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't wait to do this.
Unexpected pleasure.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much, James. And don't leave yet, okay?
Yeah.
So have a great day, James, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, take care then. Bye.
Bye.